my children had asked me to take them to where I grew up. This was, I think, 2016. So we drove out there to the house that I grew up in, and there was very little evidence of my childhood. There was some. I mean, there was some paint on the wall from where I'd made a little model rocket, and there was a gate that my father had installed around the garbage cans, which was off its hinges, and it had a G, and the kids were really excited to see the gate. But there were other parts of the house that were remodeled. And I kept thinking, this is a place where it was so important to me, and where my family congregated, and my grandparents came over, and my great aunt and great uncle, and they're all gone now. And there's no evidence of them anymore. And all of a sudden I started thinking of it as a ghost story, this friendship that I had with this kid in school, and my family life in that house, and how it was just this temporary little blip in history that really doesn't matter to anybody, except for me. So it started in that way, and feeling that sense of loss, really, about it, which I don't think is a depressing thing or a bad thing, because it's part of life. But it's also a sad part of life. So that's sort of the way it began, and it percolated in my head for quite some time, and then I wrote it in 2019, right before the world shut down. At first it was weird. It was almost anthropological. I remember calling my brother, with whom I'm very close. I remember calling him a lot, asking him, do you remember the plates we had? Do you remember what Grandma said when Grandpa said that? And do you remember where our great aunt sat at the table? This sort of thing. But then I remember shooting the film on my street where I grew up, and all the neighbors were coming out going, I remember you, and I was so proud of you, and your father had that exact car, the Plymouth, that's exactly what he had. All this stuff. And that got very moving to me. And then when I saw the film, really the first day in the editing room, where I saw the character of the boy walking up to that house after school, I kind of went, my God, I made a home movie. It's a very weird feeling. Well, in some ways, I think that both Darius and Happy Massey, who's the production designer, I think they're both very frustrated with me, because there were times when they wanted to do things that would be, more beautiful. But I would say, no, that's not the couch we had. No, that's not the chandelier we had. We had this and this brand and this style, and I would draw it out. And I think I drove them a little crazy, because the details are there. The stickers on the kids' backboard, no spanking zone, which was a sticker I had, or the posters on the wall, they had to be that specific poster. So I think they weighed in, and I listened to them, but maybe not as much as I ordinarily do. Oh, I think it's about 3 months in the life of a boy trying to navigate his way through very tough terrain, both with his friendship and with his family. And I think it's about what it means to be confronted with real ethical and moral choices in life. That's sort of the way I would put it. Well, I didn't know anything about Banks before he came to me. I think his performance is fantastic, because it's very vulnerable, but he is also really obnoxious at times. He's very cruel to his mother. This is disgusting, he says about her food, and it's hard to be that rude and still be that lovable. And the same goes for Jalen, who moves me very much. It's a level of sensitivity and intelligence in those kids that the camera doesn't really lie. I mean, you have to be thinking something as an actor, because the camera will tell when you're not. So I was very touched to be working with those kids. And they weren't easy to find, but when I found them, I wanted to cast them right after the first audition. You know, I knew I'd found both of them, so it was good. Yeah, I mean, it was a great actor, and in some ways underrated dramatically, because she's done so much excellent comic work, and she has a great sense of comic timing, really impeccable. But dramatically, an incredibly strong actor, and really intelligent, ferociously so. Jeremy Strong, same way, and you know, he's a great actor. We've got those incredible skill set, and of course, Anthony Hopkins is maybe the greatest actor in the world. So I was very fortunate with them. But you work with them in a very different way than you work with the kids. You know, it's a very different style of directing, really.